I don't think it's breaking news to suggest that if Miami's going to win this game, it'll probably be some sort of track meet. I mean, that's how it started all the way back in October, is they were
Right.
trading touchdowns for the first quarter and a half, 2 quarters, and Buffalo just wound up scoring way more of them. So if the pressure is on the Miami offense, which again that's hardly breaking analysis, but I am curious how the Bills are equipped to deal with it this time around. Rasul Douglas had his best game as a Bill last week. Speaking of Pro Bowl snubs, I'm sure plenty of Bills fans are mad that Ed Oliver didn't make the Pro Bowl this season. Is that enough to slow this down? Like, are the Bills as good defensively, or have they rebounded from their injuries as well as it looks like they have here over the last 3, 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's actually a good litmus test, right, for the postseason. But we've seen the Bills go against like some pretty good teams in the recent weeks, and um, I think they're starting to form like I hate this cliche, but sort of maybe bend don't break um identity. It's like there's I got a dog in here. She's saying hi. Um,
This is a dog-friendly podcast. You don't
yeah,
have to apologize for that.
we got to get her out of the office. Okay. The bend don't break defense, I think, is working for the Bills. I think, like you said, I thought all was lost. Like kind of like what I was saying with Miami right now. The Bills were at that point at midseason, and they've really figured it out. A credit, I think, to Sean McDermott, who is the defensive mastermind of that unit. He's gotten some players that I didn't think could play at a high level. That's exactly what they're doing. And Rasul Douglas is maybe as good of an example as anyone. Not a guy that has been elite basically until this year. He's been like really good um, in the last few years in Green Bay, but he's not like a shutdown elite corner. And you don't often expect cornerbacks that change um, teams to suddenly even get better, right? And that's like what's happened in Buffalo. Like Rasul Douglas, to me, looked like an overpay at the trade deadline. They gave up a third round pick in exchange for Douglas and I think a fifth, right? Not a huge deal, but it like that's pretty big for a deadline situation. And he has gotten better. Um, it's a rare situation, and it is very much a credit to both him and the staff. So I think that given the weirdness of what happens to this Miami offense, in late season, both between their injuries on the offensive line and just teams start to figure out how to defend them. And that's bully ball to a degree by beating them up. I think that Bills defense can hold up. And it's tough because it's in Miami, like we talked about, I think at this time last week, but I think the Bills can pull off a win. I think that they might, just crazy as it sounds, be sitting at the number 2 seed um, going into next week.
The crazy part for me is just that the Bills could either be the AFC's 2 seed or, in the right circumstances, not in the playoffs at all. I mean, maybe that's happened at some point in NFL history, but I don't remember it. So that's crazy. But I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I feel perfectly comfortable thinking the Bills are going to win this game. I am curious. One more thing along those lines, though. I can't help but think, and look, it's been a long time since Matt Milano got injured. But with the way the Dolphins like to run misdirection and use motion to confuse defenses, that is one area where I wonder if you can get the better of this Bills defense, is just getting guys out of position. But to your point, I also think that their front is a little bit of a mismatch for the Miami offensive line. So, I mean, if you had to guess, how do you see that playing out between just the Bills' physicality versus, I guess, the cleverness of Miami's offensive scheme?
Yeah, I like the way that the Bills front seven is built to help their secondary against Miami's pass. Because it's not just about rushing the quarterback in Miami because Tua throws the ball within about 2 seconds from the snap. It's not a lot of time for an edge rusher to get home. So the way that I'm sure Sean McDermott will have his defense working is that second level of linebackers who are all playing at a higher level than we would have expected for a bunch of younger guys. They're going to be interfering with passing lanes. They're going to be sort of stepping into Tua's passing windows. So it's really a question of preparation, and that's why Miami's offense starts to get easier to defend as the year goes on, because their offense is about anticipation. They get the offseason to work on anticipating plays. So early in the season, nobody else can anticipate their plays because they haven't seen it on film, as much. Now we're seeing 17 weeks of film on the Dolphins and their playbook for this year. Defenses start to anticipate the plays just like the Dolphins are, and then they have bigger problems, right? So in the second matchup, can this defense look even more prepared, even more anticipatory against, the Dolphins offense? I think probably yes. And that's where that matchup gets sort of decided, is like, how surprising can that passing offense be? And then on the rushing side, as you were saying, how disciplined is Mike McDaniel in sticking to the run? Because you're right, that is probably where this offense, makes its money. But Mike McDaniel is like the least disciplined run caller in the NFL. He has such a good rushing attack, and he gets away from it's way too often. So I like that matchup. I hope that Mike McDaniel likes that matchup. I hope that he sticks with that matchup at a greater clip than he has for the rest of the season.